In our history lesson today, we will learn more details about the life of Queen Victoria. We will be studying some wonderful paintings, portraits and photographs, which will tell us quite a lot about the past. Your task will be to make a photo album timeline, which will give a pictorial record of some key events in Victoria's life.
Have you ever wondered how the Victorians got their name? There's one woman to thank for that. Well, one woman and her parents. They did name her after all. It's Queen Victoria. The clues in the name. This absolute powerhouse of a monarch reigned from the 20th of June 1837 to the 22nd of January 1901, which was longer than any British king or queen had reigned before. In fact, it wasn't until 2015 that Queen Liz overtook her. That's Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II to you. Or probably just the Queen. Queen Victoria was all about change. She was the first monarch to live in Buckingham Palace. And she was the first to become the Empress of India. But she didn't just wake up one day and decide, from now on, people must call me the Empress of India. There's more to the story than that. Even before Queen Victoria was around, the British Empire had been expanding, taking land and resources all over the world, often by force, all in the name of trade. Queen Victoria didn't have a huge amount to do with it, until one day her pal, Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli, was like, hang about, if Britain controls India and Vicky controls Britain, why doesn't Vicky control India? So Disraeli offered Victoria the title of Empress of India, and of course she jumped at the chance. During the Victorian era, the British Empire became the largest empire the world had ever seen. It stretched west from Great Britain to Canada, south across Africa, including Egypt, Nigeria, and South Africa, and even further south to Antarctica. East, the empire reached Australia and New Zealand, plus a few other places. The Victorian era was full of growth, discovery, and inventions, like the humble photograph. These days, taking a photo is no big deal. But in early Victorian times, if you wanted a quick selfie, then you had to paint it. Luckily, photography was invented in 1839, and Victoria was like, "This blows my mind!" Photography was the most accurate way to capture events in detail. For the first time, you could see what people really looked like. Vicky was hooked. So, with her husband Albert, she started collecting photographs. In 1851, Victoria and Albert's collection of images was displayed at the Great Exhibition in London. 6 million people visited the Great Exhibition. That was nearly a third of the entire British population at the time. For many of them, it was the first time they'd ever seen a photograph. Even this guy went along to find out about the inventions and scientific advances. Having seen the power of photography at the exhibition, Victoria knew these photograph things are going to catch on. She continued to use photography to get her image out there. She carefully controlled the way her pictures looked to get the right message across and create official photographs to share with the people, just like the royals do today. But Queen Victoria didn't just keep an eye on what the public thought of her, she kept track of her own thoughts too. Victoria started a daily journal in 1832 and continued writing it until just 10 days before her death, filling 121 volumes. It's estimated that she wrote over 2,000 words a day, and that's about 60 million words in her lifetime. And she was quite the wordsmith. On her wedding day, Vicky penned this piece. "I never spent such an evening. My dearest dear Albert. His excessive love and affection gave me feelings of heavenly love and happiness I never could have hoped to have felt before. To be called by names of tenderness I have never yet heard used to me before was bliss beyond belief. Oh, this was the happiest day of my life." Today, We can use Queen Victoria's diaries to help us to understand what made her the total boss that she was. Queen Victoria was an empire ruling, photograph collecting, public image making, diary writing, total queen, who gave her name to an era of British history that saw more change than any other. And that's why she's the ultimate Victorian.
This is Victoria in 1824. She is with her mother, the Duchess of Kent, who was a German princess before she married Victoria's father, Prince Edward. This is Princess Victoria as a young girl. The painting tells us some of the things that she enjoyed throughout her life, such as painting dogs, gardens, the countryside, and fashionable clothes. This is Victoria as a teenager in 1834. We know that she had a very strict childhood. When Victoria was 13, she was taken on a tour of the Midlands so that her mother could show her off to the public. The princess found it exhausting and she became very stubborn. She started writing a diary. This painting was made in 1839 and it captures the moment after the crowning when the Queen holds the orb and sceptre and the people shout, "God save the Queen." The Queen wrote in her diary that it was the most beautiful and impressive moment. The artist was advised to show the actual moment of the crowning, but the Queen did not want to be pictured bowing her head to receive the crown. There were 64 people present at the Queen's coronation. There were at least 40,000 people outside and thousands more who would like to have been there. Victoria travelled to Buckingham Palace to Westminster Abbey in a gold coach. The gold state coach is 3.6 metres high, 7 metres long and weighs 4 tonnes. It requires a team of 8 horses to pull it. The Queen was also being escorted in a procession and the route was thronged with people. This is the throne that awaited Victoria when at the age of 19 she was crowned Queen of Great Britain. The throne still stands under the glittering chandeliers in the red, white and gold throne room at Buckingham Palace. These are crowns made for Queen Victoria's coronation in 1838. The crown which is on top of the cushion is called the Imperial Crown of Great Britain. See if you can spot Victoria wearing it in the next painting. After Albert asked Victoria to marry him, they became engaged in November 1839. Albert returned home and the couple were separated until their wedding. They did stay in touch, however, by writing letters. This painting shows the marriage of Queen Victoria in 1840. You can see Queen and Albert holding hands at the altar before the Archbishop of Canterbury. Victoria is wearing a white wedding dress, and this is a tradition which has been followed by many brides ever since. This grand painting shows Victoria and Albert and 5 of their children. As their family continued to grow, they had several nurseries built in Buckingham Palace. There were nannies, governesses and tutors to look after and educate the children. We know that Victoria was very sad and depressed when her husband Albert died after being ill with a disease called typhoid. She wore black clothes for the rest of her life. Next up is a fun video showing how much Victoria and Albert loved each other. The photograph below shows Queen Victoria dressed in black with some of her children. You can see a statue of Prince Albert.
For 40 years I ruled alone, shed all those tears while on the throne. What got me through the pain and hurt was clinging to the memory of Albert.
I loved her so, my darling Vicky, so much you know, almost made me sicky. I was not liked in your country, but who cares when I had her love for me, her love for me. Oh, Viende, oh, Ivy, each face just spells L-O-V. Oh, Ivy, oh, Viende, they'll name a building after us one day.
Queen Victoria moved into Buckingham Palace 3 weeks after she became queen. At first, she was not very happy with the state of the palace. The palace was quite dusty and it was not managed very well, with almost no security. They even found out that a 12-year-old boy had been living there undetected for a whole year. Also, the chimneys didn't work properly, so they couldn't light fires. However, Victoria soon set about making the palace very grand. This painting shows the Children's Fancy Dress Ball held at Buckingham Palace in 1859. It was Prince Leopold's 6th birthday and the ball was held in the new ballroom. In the painting you can see the Queen and Albert watching the party from a raised platform in the background, attended by their ladies-in-waiting. This painted picture celebrates Queen Victoria's Golden Jubilee. She had now been Queen for 50 years.